Wonderful world.
Now, is
So,
everybody are you gonna put the words up for that meeting?
no, I'm not, but I think this is a song that we probably all know pretty well. So, yeah, just mute yourself and you can sing along to It's a Wonderful World. So, welcome to One Heart, One Mind as we start our service.
Indeed, this
And welcome, Richard.
was a great hit by Mr. Louis Armstrong. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Indeed.
Oh, thank you, Richard. Perfect song to start out our August theme of nature. What is it? Exploring our inner life through nature. Wonderful theme. For spiritual living, and I would like to invite our wonderful assistant minister, Reverend Leslie Massopust, to give us our invocation, our opening prayer. Welcome, Leslie.
Let's all take a breath and close your eyes if you wish as we come together. And I declare that we have balance in our lives, a balance of the divine and the earthly expression. The divine for the laws and the principles of how the earthly expression works and enriches our lives exists. I know that we have a balance of giving and receiving. For Spirit has provided us with a law of circulation, and we have given ourselves a gift this morning by being able to hear and learn more of those spiritual principles and laws in our life and how they work. And we are receiving this information as we practice the balance of being quiet, the silence, and the speaking, knowing that there are those times that we need to be silent to be able to receive, a time when we can listen to that higher power or to someone else sharing with us. And then we can speak. We can share that information with others, knowing that it empowers not only ourselves, but others in their lives and how they look, how they feel, and how they conduct themselves. We are grateful for these balanced ways in which Spirit works in our lives. And we put away the cares of the day as we joyfully come together and let it do its work to us and through us. And together we say, and so it is. When I was looking at what the quote for the day should be, I ran across this quote by Luo Biscaglia, because sometimes we think it's the big things that are causing the problems or solving the problems. And sometimes it's the exact opposite. It's the little things that make a difference. And he says, too often we underestimate the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have the potential to turn a life around. So as we go into the silence, let's think of some of those small things that we think of small that are actually large that we can do for others that make a difference. And as we come back into this virtual room, we give thanks for all the wonderful little things that we have in our lives. Let us say together our August affirmation. Today, a new sun rises for me. Everything lives. Everything is animated. Everything speaks to me of my passion. Everything invites me to cherish it. And so it is. And Richard, I know that you have some more music for us.
Thank you, Michelle. Here's a song that is by Daniel Nahon. Planting seeds. We don't know how small or how big things are that we do, but we watch with amazement. I've been planting seeds on the ground, watering them with my sweat and tears, scattering them all around. It's what I'm supposed to do with my years. Funny thing is, I may know what I've planted, but never what will show. Always seems to be a perfect mystery. Whatever grows will grow. Whatever dies will die. Whatever works will work. Whatever flies will fly. Whatever fails will fail. What's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing more. Sometimes I still like to pretend I know what the harvest will be, but I always find out in the end it was never really up to me. Funny thing is, when I just do my work and simply trust, it always seems that life is looking out for me. Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail. What's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing more. And I am only one of billions of seeds. When all is said and done, I just do what's mine to do and let it be. Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, and whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing more. I am planting seeds, nothing more. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. I love that song. I love the idea. I'm planting seeds. Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die. It's just accepting life on life's terms, as they say. So it's nice to have you playing for us today, Richard. I appreciate it. So good morning again, and welcome to the online Sunday service for One Heart, One Mind Center for Spiritual Living. And welcome to August. August theme is living everyday wonder through nature. And last month, our exploration of relationships kind of briefly touched on the relationship that we have with nature. But this month, we're going to go a little deeper into nature. Nature is an expression of God as God, and what it can teach us about ourselves and our place in the world. And, really, I can't think of a more perfect example of the presence of God than the natural world, I mean, you just look around, and it's very inspiring. It took me a very long time to kind of make sense of the concept of God, having been raised Catholic, and I have come to truly honor my Catholic roots, but I could never come to terms with the idea of God as a personality, and I know that many people do, and that works so well for many people, but never really made sense to me. It just never really hit me on that deep level, like, oh yeah, that's true. And I think that's where we go when we experience the presence of God. And when I ask questions about God, I generally got answers that suggested that I simply rely on mystery and faith. Actually, it seemed more like somebody else's mystery and faith. And that just wasn't something that I could rationally grasp. It just really wasn't working for me. It was really when I began to notice my father's deep love and deep respect for nature and science that I began to open to a new way of understanding God and reality. And now at 67 years old, I can honestly say that I have a relationship with a God that I am in love with, that I'm at peace with, and one that brings me joy. Even though I still make space for my experience of God to grow and expand and to stay fresh and vibrant. You know, in the Science of Mind teaching, we define God as all of existence, or the entirety of the universe, both visible and invisible, you know, reality itself. God is the whole thing, you know, all together, including all life and all objects, big and small. And God also includes the rules for the interactions of beings and things. God is the totality of existence itself. And we could say that God is nature, not just nature like forests, oceans, deserts, although it is that too, but nature referring to the entire system, the universe in which we live. For me, and I know this isn't true for everyone, the concept of God is much more relatable to me when I look at it through the lens of nature and science. Because I look around and I see this universe of order and harmony and laws. You know, Ernest Holmes, our founder, wrote one of what I think is the most beautiful quotes about nature. And for a while, I had this as underneath my signature on my email, but it's such a beautiful quote. I wanted to share it. He wrote, "I am guided by the same intelligence and inspired by the same imagination, which scatters the moonbeams across the waves and holds the forces of nature in its grasp." That just seems so all-encompassing. Now, to me, it's almost like an inspirational prayer, an acknowledgement of the wisdom and sacredness, the harmony and the order of God expressing as nature, through nature, as all of reality. You know, Ernest Holmes also taught what we often refer to as the omnis, the omnipresence, the omnipotence or omnipotence, and the omniscience of God, all present, all powerful, all knowing. And these qualities of God's are validated for us, when we look at nature, at the system, at the universal system of nature. You know, take the idea of omnipresence. God is everywhere at the same time. Well, if God is a person or a personality, it's kind of difficult to see how that's possible. But if God is nature or the universe, then it seems pretty obvious that God is omnipresent. The universe is everywhere. Existence is everywhere. If we see nature or the universe as God, then everything is a part of the reality of God. You know, there's no corner of the universe that's separate from the rest. You know, if we see nature as God, then we can't separate any part of the universe from the reality of God. Everything is a part of the whole of God, or as we say in Science of Mind, God is all there is, and there's no exceptions to this. There can't be God and something else. It's all God. God is omnipresent. How about the idea of God as omnipotent, all powerful? Well, again, if we're defining nature as the totality of everything in the universe, then the universe is certainly all powerful. There's definitely nothing more powerful than it. It doesn't make sense to talk about something in the universe being more powerful than the universe. everything that happens within the universe is acting within the rules, within the laws of its existence. There are natural laws that govern everything in the universe. And science has uncovered many of these laws, and we're able to understand more and more about how reality works as we discover more and more of its fundamental laws. And I suspect that we have just barely scratched the surface. And as metaphysicians, we understand how creative law works as well through our participation with it. We know when we participate with creative law, we demonstrate or outpicture in the world the pattern of our thoughts and feelings. What we believe about ourselves and the world tends to come into our experience in form. The universal system of laws, order, and harmony are omnipotent, all powerful. We could say that everything in existence is playing by God's natural laws or rules. And therefore, nature, God, the universe is omnipotent. How about the last omniscient, all-knowing? Well, it makes sense that if all of the information about the universe is in the universe, not necessarily in a conscious way, but maybe, we can't trick nature or be somewhere where nature can't see us. Every place or state that anything is within nature, within the universe, is a state of nature or the universe. The universe cannot lack knowledge of its own existence. If we think about information as being a key part of how the laws of the universe operate, then the universe must know its present state, and it has to know its present state to create its future state. It must know its own laws in order to exist. Nature, or the laws of nature, sustain and support all life, all processes that take place within the reality of the universe, the reality of God, which is omniscient. Which brings home the point I made last month when we talked about having a relationship with ourselves or being one with all of creation within the universe. Science now makes the bold and true claim that we are made of star stuff. Our bodies are made of the elements that were created in the nurseries of giant stars that long ago exploded and spread their stuff across the universe. We are not only in the universe, but the universe is literally in us. I heard one scientist say, I love this, that humans are just little bits of the Big Bang that have aged over a few billion years. When we define nature as everything in the universe, all of reality, both visible and invisible, then we can be clear that it is omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient, and that we are inseparable from nature, from God. It invites us to have a respectful and a sacred view of everything in the natural world and to honor our place in it. And not with arrogance, but with a sense of grateful humility and knowing that we too can participate with its nature because it's our nature. We're empowered to co-create lives filled with love and purpose and meaning and joy. It sounds so good to me. So now that we've established that we're these unique expressions of the one universal presence that we're calling nature, the universe, or God, or many other things, there are so many things that we can learn about ourselves and our place in the universe by observing the natural world. We can see that everything works together to support the continuation and the unfolding of life. God, cleverly disguised as life, is always in this continual process of creating and expressing itself in the natural world. You know, what's that great quote? Well, I have a couple, but this quote is from Holmes, and I love this one. Perhaps the one point on which we can all agree is that whatever the nature of first cause or spirit, many names for God, it is creative. If this were not true, nothing could come into existence. It is impossible to think of creative life expressing itself other than in livingness. In livingness. And if we believe that the nature of the universal presence, the intelligence behind all things is good, that its nature is loving and benevolent, then the nature of the universe must tend toward good too. The momentum of life must always be expressing towards love and goodness. And life is never stagnant. What's that Holmes quote? Nature will not let us stay in one place too long. She will only let us stay just long enough to gather the experience necessary for the unfoldment and the advancement of the soul, our soul. You know, we often talk in Science of Mind about standing in the flow and the movement of the divine spirit, which means that we can consciously create or participate, co-create with the nature of the universe, which is the nature of God. The nature of God is flow. And I've noticed that it is in our resistance to whatever is happening in our lives right now that gets in the way of that flow. We stop the flow when we start feeling things that are contrary to the nature of God, things like fear, hate, or separation from each other or from life itself. You know, we can think about these things, we can imagine that they are true, but the truth is that we can never be separate from God or from life. You know, but these things, these ideas that we are capable of holding, stop the flow of good. You know, life is always changing. And we understand, when we understand this, and when we greet whatever comes our way without resistance, not that we're always going to love everything that shows up for us, but it will inevitably move past us. And when we process and release the emotions that we encounter from any challenging experience, I mean, let's face it, we are going to feel sad. We are going to feel grief. We are going to feel pain. There are moments when we are going to suffer, but we don't have to let it take up residence within us. We can acknowledge that in our humanness, we are feeling this emotion. We can process it. We've got lots of ways to do that. And then we can let it go. And what's left when we process these challenging emotions is wisdom. We encounter things, we learn the advancement of the soul, as Holmes put it. You know, we've been doing the Tuesday night exploration of Eric Butterworth's book, Spiritual Economics, and I can't remember what week it was, but he was talking about in one of the chapters, one of the lines that is often repeated in the Bible, it came to pass. He says that this line can have a subtle inference that can be meaningful for us. You know, he wrote that if we have a problem or maybe a financial reversal, the challenge is going to come up. Challenges are going to come up, but we should refuse to be panic-stricken because it stops the flow. You know, I recently got another book. Actually, it's another book by Eric Butterworth, and it's called The Flow of Life. And actually, it was a recommendation by Yvonne. And in that book, he tells a great story about this often used line in the Bible. And I wanted to share the story because I thought it just put this in such a great way. It's so illustrative, this idea of this too shall pass. So he wrote, and I can't remember what chapter it is, but anyway, he wrote, out of the legendary past comes the story of an Eastern monarch plagued by worries and harassed at every turn. He called his counselors and his wise men together, and he asked them to formulate a motto, a few magic words that would help him in times of trial or distress. It must be brief enough to be engraved on a ring so that I can have it always before my eyes. It must be appropriate for every situation, as useful in prosperity as in adversity. It must be a motto wise and true and endlessly enduring. Words by which a person could be guided all his life. The counselors and wise men went off and debated and reasoned and prayed. Finally, they came back to the monarch with the magic words, words for every change or chance, words to fit all situations, words to ease the heart and mind in all circumstances. The words that were engraved on the king's ring, as an emperor, on the monarch's ring were, "This too shall pass." Life is a flowing experience, and the only certainty is change. In fear and in greed, in joy and in sadness, there is a human tendency to hold on. Ever notice that? When life is equated with things or with relationships or with moments of fulfillment, the threat of their loss or change is too much to endure. Thus, the discovery of the flow of life is the greatest awakening of consciousness we can achieve. I love that. And isn't it true to learn that here we are in this human form, everything is going to change. Engage with it, feel it, experience it, process the emotions that come up for you, and let it go. We can't hang on to anything. You know, from observing nature, we can see this lesson play out. I mean, it has come to pass. People are born, people die, blossoms bloom, they decay, fires come, storms come, comfortable weather comes, uncomfortable weather comes. It has come to pass. It has come to pass. And there's another lesson inherent in this idea of it has come to pass. In the natural world, nothing is wasted. For however long something is in a particular state or in a particular form, it is useful in some way. But everything is recycled and reused. You know, I remember when I was in ministerial school, I don't remember when, maybe the second year or something. I'm sure it wasn't near the end. I took my first speaking class. It was Homiletics 1. My first talk was called "It is all compost," because as a gardener, I knew what dies feeds life. Everything has value in whatever state it shows up. A plant, a beautiful blossom will die, it will decay, and it will feed life. It's all compost. Our experiences that we go through, the challenging moments, they become compost, wisdom for future experiences that we encounter, for the advancement of our soul, for the furtherance of our journey on this human path. You know, the nutrients that break down from the decaying material make way for the new blossoms. The experiences we have make way for the new experiences, that we may embrace them and experience them more deeply and more fully, learn more from them. Everything is compost. Everything is compost. I had this book, actually, when I knew that we were going to be doing nature as our theme for the month, I immediately thought of this book. It's written by a Jewish rabbi. He's got a great name. His name is Balfour Brickner. What a cool name. And he writes about God in the garden. The name of the book is Finding God in the Garden. And he writes about finding God in the garden. And anyway, I just wanted to share something that he wrote about finding God in the garden. It's just, I think, it's just a wonderful, wonderful quote. Anyway, he wrote, "Out of the seeming end of living material, in this instance, plant and vegetable matter, life, at least in the form of worms, emerges. Moreover, compost itself seems to contain at least the ingredients of new life, if not indeed new life itself. The more I garden, the more I am impressed with the realization that little, if anything, goes to waste in the natural world. It is a fact that fills me with wonder and wondering." You know, in God's natural world, in God's universe, everything is used for the expression of the goodness of life, the goodness of God. It doesn't matter how stinky or rotten it looks or feels, it's useful in God. Nothing is wasted. All states of being are valuable. You know, in my growing up Catholic experience, another thing I heard a lot was always to obey God. And the image I had of that was that there was some bigwig guy sitting up in the sky that I was supposed to obey. It didn't make sense to me. I never even met this guy. But if we look at that idea through the lens of nature and the universe as God, then obeying God is simply participating with natural laws, the laws in which the divine intelligent presence of the universe expresses itself. It expresses its love and its goodness. And when we participate with that nature and those natural laws, we too express our inherent goodness and love. We bring peace and harmony into the world. You know, I've certainly learned to obey natural laws. I obey the law of gravity. I don't step off any tall buildings or steep cliffs. I've learned that. I'm participating with gravity. I've learned to obey fire. I don't put my hand in an open flame. And you get the picture. We do always obey and participate with natural laws. And when I obey or participate with natural laws, we're empowered to use them for good. You know what Holmes told us, the furtherance of evolution depends upon our ability to sense our union with nature and with her forces. You know, in other words, to understand our loving oneness with nature, God, whatever name we want to call it, universe, the natural world, and then participate with its laws. And the spiritual practice the practical spiritual practice that can support us in feeling our oneness with God, nature, love, and taking these things, taking anything that comes our way in life as it comes and participating with natural laws is this one line: in all things give thanks. Living an attitude of gratitude puts us in that vibration of flow. You know, gratitude is creative. You know, the vibrations of universal goodness and love are contained within that attitude of gratitude. I mean, after all, when somebody does something extraordinary, it truly is a collaboration of the entire universe coming together and cooperating. You know, think of a great musician. I don't know, James Taylor, Yo-Yo Ma, Richard comes to mind. You know, these people have spent decades practicing and perfecting their crafts. But rather than just celebrate the one musician or the talent, their gift, it kind of makes sense to me to celebrate, to give thanks for the entire structure that gives rise to music in the first place. You know, it's extraordinary that we live in a universe where sound and music exist at all. The musician is creating music within the system that is provided, within the laws and the rules of the universe. And there are other examples that we could use for the gifts that people express in the world. In all things give thanks. Puts us in that state of mind to live in gratitude for everything. The laws, the individual, all gifts from the nature of the universe. Whenever any of us accomplish something, whatever it is, it actually is some part of the universe cooperating through us. You know, and we can choose to allow it to flow through us in any way we want by honing our skills and becoming an instrument through which the nature of God can play through us. So this week, I invite you to notice how the omnipresent, the omnipotent, and the omniscient nature of the universe offers itself to you freely, and how we are empowered to let it move through us in gratitude and in glory and in respect and in honor in any way that we choose. So let's take a nice deep centering breath and just pray to that. I know that all there is God, all there is nature, all there is the experience and the expression of goodness and love and richness, creativity, beauty, wisdom, compassion, love, friendship in this beautiful universe in which we inhabit in our bodies and in our spirit. We are one with it. So I speak my word for and about every person that is present here on this call today, every person that listens to it on Facebook or YouTube as a recording or in real time. I speak my word for and about everyone in our spiritual community and everyone in the world, that there's a shift in consciousness, that there is an opening and a new beginning, a fresh new way to encounter, to engage with, to adventure in the presence of the omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient power of the one life we call God, Spirit, Universe, whatever, George, Henry, Gloria, I don't care. It is all the same. Whatever name we give it, we experience its presence, its power, its love. So I just sit in deep gratitude. I give thanks for the ability of all of us to co-create, to participate, and to be one with this presence. So I relax in this, knowing all is well. And I invite you to signify your agreement with me by saying, and so it is. And so it is. I got a little wordy today. I almost ran out of breath. I was really into it. So, let's see. I believe that it is Relaine today that is doing our time of sacred giving and our benediction.
Yes, it is. So this is one of my favorite times. It's an opportunity to give and to give to one of our wonderful spiritual sources, One Heart, One Mind. And there are different ways that you can give through Venmo. And also, okay, here we go. So you can give to Venmo at One Heart, One Mind Center. And there's no fee to donate. That's a pretty easy way. And then the other way is to send a check to our treasurer, Jim Massopust, to One Heart, One Mind. And his address is in the chat room, and it's also in the e-newsletter. And now I'd like to share our giving prayer, sacred giving. I recognize that all supply flows from the divine givingness of spirit, and my gift is a continuation of this divine flow. I give and receive from this infinite supply, and I give in faith and love and in joy, and it flows back to me in kind, and so it is.
Thanks, Relaine. So we're going to ask Yvonne to give us our announcements.
Okay, Monday evening prayer group, 6 to 6:20. Come and be part of our silent prayer for our center. Prayer plants the seeds of tomorrow. And I wonder every week why more of you don't come, because it's only 20 minutes and it's very soothing and a wonderful way to support our center. Tuesday evening, this week it is a discussion of chapter 10 of Spiritual Economics titled A New Look at Tithing. The discussion is guided by Reverend Michelle and Practitioner Relaine, and happens from 6 to 7. That's also really interesting because we get to hear a lot of different ideas, and it really is great. Then One Heart, One Mind Unexpected Income fundraiser is still going on. And what I have to say about it is when you look for unexpected income, you're going to find it. And please get involved. It's another way to support our center. It's a real easy way. And actually, I think, and Raylene could probably help me with this, have we made over $1,000 now?
Yeah, I believe so. I don't have the exact figure, but you were doing great.
Yeah, that's terrific. And it's fun. So then my last thing is that our practitioners are all available for practitioner sessions. You can view on our website how to contact them. And our practitioners find out how, and you can find out how, wow, I'm really getting this one messed up. How the practitioners are really powerful and valuable. And if you've not done it, it's really worth your time and their time to get together and talk about something that you want to fix or just change. And that's it.
All right.
They'll
Well, I
probably
did
all
want
say, "Hey."
I did want to mention one thing, a couple of things actually. We're members of the Poway Interfaith Team Point, and this is Interfaith Awareness Week, and I sent out an email that gives you the link to get on that, and then if you go to their website for the Interfaith Awareness Week, there's all kinds of online stuff if you want to just plug in this week. So I encourage you to check that out. The opening is today, and I gave a little 5-minute blurb in the opening, lots of other people too, but anyway, it was fun. And I've been in touch with Rabbi David Zaslow from Ashland, Oregon. He's done a couple of speaking things for us, and we're planning a joint interfaith service between One Heart, One Mind and his temple, his community, probably sometime in October. So I'll keep you posted on that. I'm really looking forward to that. And then we're hopefully going to reschedule our bunco. We're going to wait and see what happens with the meeting this week, and then have another picnic in October when it cools down. So we've got some stuff in the works. It's cooking. We're going to get out there. All right. Okay, thanks so much, Yvonne. And back to you, Relaine, for our benediction. And then Richard's going to take us out with another song.
Okay, so today I'm inspired to do something a little different from Reverend Michelle's talk. So I'm going to do the closing prayer, and then I'm going to end with a poem. So let's just close our eyes and just be grateful. Be grateful for all the good that is in our lives. Be grateful for this morning's talk that was so inspirational from Reverend Michelle, the music from Richard, from Reverend Leslie's beautiful invocation prayer and quote, and just our time together, raising our energies and just being together in this collective consciousness of oneness and goodness and beauty and flow. And so I'd like to read a poem that's written by Reverend Noel McGinnis, and it's called Flow. Be as water is without friction. Flow around the edges of those within your path. Surround within your ever-moving depths those who come to rest there. Enfold them while never for a moment holding on. Accept whatever distance others are moved within your flow. Be with them gently as far as they allow your strength to take them, and fill with your own being the remaining space when they are left behind. When dropping down life's rapids, froth and bubble into fragments if you must, knowing the one of you now, many, will just as many times be one again. And when you're gone as far as you can go, quietly await your next beginning. And so it is.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Elaine. That was beautiful. Okay, Richard, take it away.
One of our favorite songs called We Are One. Everybody. So many people like grains of sand. So much to learn about in every land. The more I learn, the more I understand. We are all different, and we are one. So many sounds of every living thing. So many languages and songs to sing. So many gifts that everyone can bring. We are all different, but we are one. We are relatives in one family. We are rainbows of color. We are waves on the sea. It's the same stars we wish on. It's the same sky we see. We are all different, and we are one. We are relatives in one family. We are rainbows of color. We are waves in the sea. It's the same stars we wish on. It's the same sky we see. We are all different, and we are one. We are all different. We are one. Connected in spirit. And we are one. We are one.
Thank you, Richard. Yes, we
I
are.
miss y'all. I miss y'all.
Yeah, thanks for I love it when you're here. All right. Thank you so much. Anybody wanna, we'll wait for